Hi, everybody. Welcome to Trader Minutes. Great to have you on board. I'm Carl. Thanks for tuning in. And lots of talk out there in the chat today. It's been a nice day today. And the market, it's up four. It's a good sign for the market overall to see the market these little days like this, especially again after we had a big, nice rally on Friday to see the market hold its own, even gap slightly higher today is a very bullish sign for the stock market. And who knows? We might close near the highs of the day, which to me bodes well for the rest of this week and probably throughout the rest of the year, huh? And a lot of talk this morning about Win, and sold off a little bit. It was up there towards the highs. It's getting away from the seven. I know a lot of you got out at three, at least $2, $3 higher than we did, and congratulations if you stayed in or you held on to a contract or two. It's a nice looking trade. Now in the market, there's always hindsight, and the hindsight can either put you out and make you feel really good that you got out right at the top or something like that. It works both directions. If you get a nice winning trade, we got about 80% in the trade. You can still look, and you could have had more, or And the question comes, and I got this in the chat as well, is how do you get out and just be happy with it? It comes. It comes. I mean, over the years of trading, I've been in the market since '99, long time, and you eventually, you get used to getting out, taking the gain, or taking the loss, and not looking back, and just be happy because you were dealing with the best information you had at the time, and you can always look back. Oh, I could have stayed in. I could have uh, done this or that, but you can't change it. So for me, it was the point of why worry about it if I can't change it. I was happy with the gain, took it, and not looking back. I have a friend who trades, and he what he'll do is just take the stock off of his watch list, literally for about a month, and then look back. And I've moved beyond that too. If I'm happy with the gain, then just get out and not worry about it. I mean, so that's the best advice. It's human nature to want to look back and see what you could have done, but don't let it affect your trading decisions in the past because in the future, because there's always the times where you got out, you were happy with the gain, and 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 so the next time you stay in, which might work for you, it might keep going. But there's always a time where you think you should get out, you're happy with the gain, and then the next day, so you stay in the trade thinking, well, every time I want to get out, it goes higher on me. So you stay in the trade, and the next day is when it gaps down and starts going against you. So you're never going to hear me argue about taking a gain. I don't care if it's a small gain, if it's a large gain. If you took a gain, you're making money. And that's what it's all about is making money. Okay, so I got a question there on SanDisk. SanDisk stock that I've looked at for many years. And if you're going calls here, by less if you're going near the money, no, less if you're going in the money further, or more if you're going, you know, out of the money or near the money. At this point, it depends on what month you're going. If you're going to January, then I might do like one strike in the money. But if I'm going to December, if you go out of the money, it's going to be a little bit more aggressive, right? You'll be able to make more money if this thing pops and gets back up through towards the $70 area. However, you're still going to make money if you go, a couple strikes in. If you go a couple strikes in and the stock turns against you a little bit, you're not going to be hit as hard as if you're the first strike out and then all of a sudden it goes back out of the money. So it depends. Again, if you go in January, I might go a strike in. I don't think I'd go out of the money, but I might go a strike in. Um, Two strikes in definitely if you're going to December. Now, if you're looking for December options right now, we got a whole week ahead of us. We got basically 4.5 days left. Okay, where time decay, the question always comes in, what about time decay, right? And well, time decay works over the weekends. And the closer you get to expiration, you hold over a weekend, and then that can tick in on you. Depends on how far you are in the money and so forth, but that can be where it start to that's where it can start to tick in. Just reading through the chats here. Okay. All right, so we're looking to make a trade today. We got some really good prospects in mind. We're just going to watch them a little bit longer today. You'll find out what those are. If we make that trade, we definitely want to find the right setup, and there's some good setups out there. There are some good setups out there. Yeah, that's a good idea too. Close out the live stream and not worry about it if you got a profit and taking it. Just laughing. Darren, you're funny. With Nucor, just a little consolidation up here. If you're looking at candles here, this was a top three from this day right here. Has gone higher, and some bullish consolidation is when it just kind of goes sideways, if not slightly down. Bearish is when it pulls back hard, like maybe something like this. You get these big steep drops like that. That's where it kind of scares you. But where it just kind of these little slow, little tiny slow moves, that would be a gravestone doji. Shows a slight weakness. But still, I mean, this thing gapped above 52. It's still holding on to 52, well above it. I wouldn't be too worried here. If it runs down and closes below 52, it's still above the 7. But up in this range, I still wouldn't be too worried about Nucor. Odds are this thing could go higher. And then one of my top threes from Thursday. Yeah, this is looking really great. Great bullish action here. But towards the highs of the day, it's approaching that $28 level. It still looks like it could keep going. If you got a nice gain here, you know me, I can't argue. I could never argue taking it, but still, I mean, it has all the bullish aspects of the trade. It still was considered a vibe bull. Here's the Bollinger Bands here. It jumped up into the upper Bollinger Band. Still in the upper Bollinger Band. This could be one that you could ride till it closes back inside the band. Looking good. Okay, Medtronics was one of mine from Friday. So it jumped above Friday with the bull vibe entrance. All right, everything rising right there. Today it's down slightly, down 41 cents. Still above the 7. This jumped up above about the 57.5 mark, which had been resistance for a couple weeks. Now we're just coming back to retest the level. If it closes below the 7, I'd get out. A push higher here above the 58 and above this level right here, this could take the stock to new highs. So I wouldn't be too concerned yet. If it closes below the 7, then again, I'd get out. All right, and the other one from Friday was Procter & Gamble. It's up slightly. It's up 20 cents. You know, right here, it's all the bullish aspects still in play here. It's up here at around that $85 mark. Wouldn't be surprised to see it consolidate a little bit right here, but overall, the bullishness, sorry, is still here. Wells Fargo. Now, Wells Fargo was one of my runner-ups on Friday. Had a nice looking bull vibe entrance. It was up earlier, but that's pulled back slightly. But still, I mean, the bullish aspects are here. We've got what 3 hours to the close right now. Watch them into the close. This runs up during the through the close right here. Would be very bullish to see this stock break out of the recent high right here and continue to run. But right now, I wouldn't be too worried about it. Baidu, so it had the big run. It's pulled back slightly. It's pulled back a little bit. Still about $1 here. Watch this into the close. Remember, stocks that will run up into the close, that's when a lot of times you're going to get some follow through. And it's pulled back slightly. If I look over here at the chart of Baidu, it never set a reaction low here. Oh, I guess it did. Sorry, right down here. But no, it's up. It's rolling over slightly. Just watching the close. There's likely, if this breaks through that 169, about the 170 level, there's some good support right through this area. Strong support down through there. But right now it's still up there trying to hold the 170 mark. But watch this into the close. If it was me, I'd wait to the close to look to make a trade on it. If it closes back towards the highs, then this thing is going to likely take off. And this thing, when it takes off, three to $4 moves in a day, not uncommon at all, with much larger ones too. Okay, with Mead Johnson, still above the seven, still holding its own, still bullish. I mean, it's been doing this type of price action here now for about a week. We're just very slow grind above the seven, but overall, the bullish. I mean, it's still in an uptrend. Everything's still suggesting higher. I mean, everything's still uptrending. So just not a big breakout day, but it's not really taken off anywhere either. But no bearish signals yet. If I was in here again, a move below the seven is what would take me out if I was in calls. That's too early to buy puts, but I'd get out of calls if it closes below the seven. Spectra Energy. So if I look at this through a trend writer, it's very close to forming a trend writer. You can see the bands are starting to expand today, which is what you want. A push here in the upper Bollinger Band would be a trend writer bull signal. Had some pretty good volumes on Friday as this broke up through the seven like that, and kind of a nice candle right here, pushing off the lower band. Now it's going up to the upper band. If it gets in that band, then you could expect some more follow through to the upside right here. All right. At this point, it's going up towards the band. It come off the bottom here and a push into that band. That's what I'd be looking for. But overall, this is a pretty bullish looking chart. Not all the averages are up. You got the 100-day here that's just down slightly, but the 50 is kind of flat, but the 200 here is still longer term trend line is still showing more upside here. But that's what I'd look for. I'd look for a push into the upper band here into the close today. It'd be a very bullish sign for that. So with Dominion Resources, all right, so it broke out above the 7 on Friday, yet today it's pushing back below. If it pushes back below the 7, it'd be a pretty bearish sign for this, especially if, like, the next day or two, it runs down in the lower band, and this good chance it's thing going down towards the $61 level. It's about the next level of support underneath this thing. But pretty bearish when you see a stock try to break out of the 7, then run back below it after it's already been in the downtrend. Pretty bearish sign here. If this closes back up here above the 64 mark, then it might not be ready to go down yet. But right now, breaking down like that. Yeah, Deere, as the company's starting to put that new $8 billion of the buyback program into effect, could be. Yeah, it's just wanting to keep on going. That changed everything for Deere. EMC. Okay, now this is in a channel here. You can see the channel somewhere around the 24, just under 20. Well, let's just go 24.25 down to 23.50. It's been the channel it's in. This is a pretty bearish move, but you still got to watch that lower channel. If it hits the lower channel and starts to bounce back up, then it's not likely headed back down. It's probably come back up to the upper channel. The Bollinger Bands are right there as well. So this is going to, a breakout here would signal a move down or up. Another 75 cents, which isn't too bad for a stock like this. This can move when it really wants to go. But I'd watch which way it goes. These breaks are just tough to play if you're in the middle of it before it comes in lower. You got to let it break down below it. So something like, a break down below, and even on a lot of times, or a break above. But a lot of times these things, when they jump out of channels like that, we'll come back and retest that channel to see if if it is support or resistance, depending on which way it goes. But right now, it's just kind of a tough call to see if it's going to break that channel or not, because it's coming down to the lows. We're not quite there yet. FXI. So the FTSE. Yeah, it's got technically, right. We've got a lot. It's got a little bit of this ascending triangle pattern. It's coming right up on, around number of 40. A break, these are continuation patterns, which suggest more upside here. And this is a stock, if you can catch these moves and time these moves, man, it can really take off on you and go places. It gaps, these gaps like that, they're great if they go your direction. If they don't, ouch, you can wake up and be down quite a bit. But overall, this is pretty bullish action. Um, it might gap. This would be one of those you'd have to try to anticipate, because it might just gap right out over this and you've missed the trade if it gaps too high yet. So this would be one of those anticipatory, whatever you want to call it, type of a trade where you'd invest a little bit less, where you'd trade a little bit less into the trade. But the pattern here is suggesting higher, and a move above that level, I think, would you'd see a lot more upside. Yeah, it's whenever you see some good trades, and yeah, there's some pretty good setups out there too. And you go look at the options, are either overpriced or the spreads are too wide. It's kind of a bummer. I know the feeling well, Vegas. Yeah, I've taken my chances sometimes and jumped in on some of those really good looking setups over the years with those. And what I'll typically do is just look for another setup. You look for a company in the same type of an area as them, and see if you can't find another setup where maybe the options aren't quite as wide, yet you still probably have the same type of price action, is one thing that you could do. Vegas. So with Abercrombie, bearish little gap down today. It does have, right now, it's got a dragonfly on it, right? And it's on a little bit of support down here around the $34 range, which is pretty bullish in nature. But I'd check the news and see if there's a reason for the gap. If not, it's bullish price action. I mean, other than just playing a dragonfly here, there's not much else telling you to go out and buy calls on it. Very strong move is if you saw something like this and then you see the stock gap higher tomorrow. Then you'd have an abandoned pattern down here, which are I mean, they're very accurate. Of course, there's not a 100% thing accurate right here in the market, but these are little abandoned candle patterns like that are quite accurate in the market. So this would be one of those, if this gaps up and runs up through the 7 on an abandoned candle like that, would be very bullish. To me, that's what I'd wait for. I don't think you'd be missing much if you waited for something like that. Yeah, this is a nice little move on Illumina. I like the setup. So if you look at this through a vibe, it's jumping out there to the upper band, but this is one of those stocks that technically was giving you a nice bull vibe entrance on Friday. Okay? Now, for me, I they can do what they did today, but for me, I like a little bit of stronger candle pushing up towards the 100 like that. But still, I mean, if I was in a trade here, I'd stay in. This is likely to retest a $100 level and probably give us another shot, but getting in and get back down towards the 7. But this is a great bullish candle today, and a very bullish price action. This might just keep going. I like it. The volume's not too strong, but it's got the uptrend, right? So you don't necessarily need the strong volume, but this is a very bullish looking chart. If I was in here, I would not get out. I just let it keep going. Again, it might retest a $100 level somewhere. If it retests at a little bit higher point, when I say retest, sometimes I get some question, what do you mean by retest? Okay, so I'll just kind of draw some candles here, pretend they're black. So let's say it goes up again tomorrow, and then all of a sudden, let's say you get a little bit of a doji action, and then it comes back down towards a $100 level. Okay, well, that would be retesting. So if it moves back up above it like that, what just happened there? Well, it broke through the $100 level. Now it's holding that as a new support level, and bouncing back up off of it. You might get that if it's a real strong move, you might not, and it might just run away from you, and that's the chances that you get for jumping in. But we do it all the time. You jump in on those really strong moves like that, and sometimes they just keep going. Okay, but sometimes they retest. It varies. If it retests at a higher level, so I'd say 101 or something like that, then even more bullishness that it never got back to 100 before the next move higher. Okay, so that's you can hear me talk about retesting quite a bit. CSX, yeah, still looks really strong. Man, a lot of the rails are strong today. I saw a couple upgrades. CSX got one, and company this stock which got another one. Freight car, they got an upgrade today. Now that's a huge move. And this is one of those you wouldn't have seen coming, right? And I had to look into that a little bit further to see if it was more than an upgrade. But no, there's no right now. If I was in this trade right here on CSX, I'd still be in. I wouldn't. It's still in the upper band. It's still showing strength. I mean, it's got all the indications here that this thing could run up towards the $30 area. Now, it's not one of those giant movers, but no, you can. That's what I do. I'd watch this, just stay in until it closes in the lower band and let it keep going. Let it work for you. Qualcomm. So this one looked to want to run higher last week on Friday. Let me zoom in on this. It looked to want to run higher on Friday. Today it's coming back towards that 73 area. It got up above 73. Now it's not has not broken it. The bands are tightening or contracting pretty hard. You don't see the upper band. It's probably a little ways off of it. But if this can hold, I mean, this is one of those candles that looks kind of scary. The volume's not going to be too bad today. If you're bullish on it, hard to hold. But if you can get a move back up there off of 73, it looks something like that in coming days. Got 76 or so written all over it. It's just one of these testers coming back. If you're bullish on it, it's like, oh man, is it going to break 73? And that's just the thing. There's nothing that's going to say it's going to break 73. You're going to hold it. It's one of those. I guess you watch and see if it holds the area. Okay, but yeah, so far, well, if it closed below the 7, I'd be tempted to get out. Really, 73 has been the level of support for it here. But a move below 73 into the close would, and I'd definitely get out if I was bullish here. But I wouldn't go buy calls just based on that price action. But if I was bullish and in a trade, I'd probably get out if it closed down there just under 73. Now, I didn't know if you want to look at NSV, oh, NSX. Still not getting NSX. Maybe looking at CSX. I'd have to look into rail. I just saw that come through some of the things that I look for this morning. It got a big upgrade, and there's probably more to it. I mean, a 7% move on a stock because of an upgrade. There's likely more to that move. So if I just come over here real fast, we can and see if there's more to the move than just an upgrade. Financials, daily dividend report. Declares a regular dividend, so that's probably it. Just very quickly looking at that. Kansas City Southern. So right now you can see down here it's moved down here towards the 118 mark. Now it's been underperforming the other railroads, which have been doing pretty good. This has been underperforming. If they continue to perform, you might get the value buyers stepping into this one because they see this underperforming and think, wow, the other ones are taking off on it. This is likely to follow, so they start jumping in here. To get bullish here, I'd like to see it move here above the 120 area, which is going to be also the 7-day moving average, and then hold that level. If this pushes back down below the 7 tomorrow, good chance the 118 might break, but so far it's been underperforming. That's what I'd look for there to get bullish on it. Okay, thanks, Matt. Yeah, Matt's saying the rails are looking better because coal and natural gas, nat gas, moving up. One of the stocks I've been eyeing here, and we looked at this on Friday as well. It's had a couple of these failed breakouts to the downside, but this is Apollo. See, the bands are expanding here, but it just, on Friday it looked like a very nice trend rider bear entry, pulled back, closed above 25 today, pulled back slightly, coming back off the lows. I don't know if it's ready to go yet. If it goes, man, this thing down to the 22 range would be pretty doable. I mean, that's the first decent level. But if it holds this 25 and keeps failing to the downside, odds are it's going to jump back and head towards that upper Bollinger Band. So this one just be a little bit careful on, but one that I'm watching out there. Best Buy, it is a strong push up here. So if you got something that looked like this, and I don't know if we're going to get it, but maybe not today, but if you get a push up like that, down below the 7, pushes up above the 7, and closes at a higher level than this first candle right here, would be a very nice bullish candlestick pattern, as well as a stock that's already been uptrending and likely to run higher. That would give you I bring in the vibe, it would also give another bull vibe entrance, but that's what I'd want. This thing to push up towards the $43 range, then you got something going more to the upside. Now, BBBY, Bed Bath Beyond, what we're looking for here, this looks pretty strong, like it wants to break to the upside. I'd like to see a candle, and you might miss the trade if you do get something like this, but I'd like to see a candle push here above these highs towards the close. Right through that area right there. You get something like that pushing up, then the thing's likely to head up towards the $80 level. But overall, I mean, it's got a nice ascending triangle pattern. This looks to break to the upside sometime soon. So First Solar, Trend Rider bear signal. Now these solars, they have a history. And I laugh because the history is, man, they show beautiful looking entrances and then they reverse like the next day. So to me, they've always been a little bit scary to trade. I mean, this is just like practically one of the ultimate trend rider bear signals. If I can get this down so you can see everything I'm looking at here. Yeah, I pretty much got it right there. So you can see the RSI breaking through 50. And this entering the lower Bollinger Band like that. It's not on giant volumes. You don't necessarily need them. The stock's been uptrending. It's been getting weak here for a little while. Yeah, there's kind of a little mutant head and shoulders pattern. It's not the perfect little setup there, but it has all the principles of it, right? So you can see a little bit of a shoulder action, and then the head action here, and then the shoulder here just kind of goes flat. But overall, the principles of a head and shoulders pattern, the area for it to break, you could say 60, but even better than that, it's been down here as low as 58. And it's breaking that today, heading in the lower Bollinger Band. The band's expanding, as you can see down here. It's a pretty bearish setup. Okay, you can also look at it this way. Watch the $60 level. And that's one of those big numbers. The multiples of 10 tend to be the biggest level. So it broke through the level over here. Jumped up on this day, sold off, and went back below the 7. So the retest happened. Retested just above 60. The retest took place, and now it pushed lower on Friday, and again pushing lower again today. Pretty bearish looking setup. If I were to get into something like this down towards the 54, $52 level, wouldn't be out of the question here. But I'd watch into the close. If this comes back up there towards 58, by the end of the day, not doing it. Would look more if it closed something like this. That's right, Max. I agree. Max, for those of you watching the video here, the recording of this, he's saying that I always follow George Costanza's do the opposite method in solar stocks. I believe I saw that episode. I'm pretty sure I did. It's been such a long time. That was one of my favorite shows. Darren probably just put it in there for us. I don't know. All right, Darren always has some funny clips. All right, EJ. Let's move in on this. Okay, so this would be showing the early with this little candlestick action right here. This is the early signs of what they call a three methods rising pattern. Got a big Mariposa candle right here, slight pullback back towards the 7. I don't know if it's going to happen today, but if you get a move that looks like that, pushing up through 12 and above this opening candle's high, which is basically 12, very bullish price action, and it could get this to take off. Now, there is one thing noteworthy here: is you notice the Bollinger Bands here are contracting. If I look at the Bollinger Band width down here, you notice it's headed down, which means the bands are contracting. You can see them contracting. Now, it's technicals, but this suggests the stock might not be ready for a breakout. Contracting bands a lot of times are used as resistance. If it slows down a little while and the bands start to flatten out and start to expand, then you could easily see a move higher right here, and it might just keep going, right? Stocks can just do whatever they want, but right now the technicals are saying it might not be ready yet, but that's what I'll be looking for there. CHL, China Mobile. Okay, this is some more bullish consolidation. It had the big news over here with Apple, just kind of gone flat. The 7 days catching up with it. This is bullish consolidation. It might go on for another day or two, but really, from this point on, almost any time you get a move, something like this, where it's kissing up off the 7 and pushing up through that $55 area, the stock's likely headed back here towards the highs in that range right there, 56.5 to 57, if not even higher. Okay, so with China Mobile going to start, well, they say May. I've noticed that a lot of news out of China, they always say May. We may do this, we may do that. They may start pre-ordering people might be able to start pre-ordering the iPhones over there, and it could be a big thing for Apple and for these guys, right? And I don't know as far as their charges or anything like that, if they would be more expensive than what's already over there or not. I don't know the market well enough, that market. But I mean, that's just huge news. Okay, so Sohu. Now you look at Baidu, which has pulled back a little bit. And Sohu here, it's kind of been underperforming. It was up earlier, but pushing back below. So if this closed back down below the 7 right there, it'd be very short-term bearish on it. It's got higher highs and higher lows that continue to be locked in here. So I would watch this. If it can hold that $68 range today, would be a pretty positive for this thing that might be able to push back up through that $70 area. So if it can hold 68 and also the 7-day moving average. If it closes back below the 7, then again, I'd be short-term, I'd say weakness. I wouldn't say bearish, that it's all over for Sohu. But it would be show a little bit of weakness. So watch that 68 and that 7-day moving average. See if it closes back below there. If it closed right here, it's like right on them, right? Which it could go either direction. For Sohu here, yeah, the bands are contracting. You're right. Bands are contracting a little bit. There could be some resistance here. Now, if this would consolidate around this level for a day or two, it might give those bands a chance to settle down a little bit. Right now, it is contracting, so it's saying it might not move higher, but some nice consolidation, just kind of go sideways around or up very little or down very little around 68 would be what you're after. And then you'd have a higher low locked in, and then it might get a chance to move higher. Amazon, man, just going flat, isn't it? Now the indicators are starting to weaken here, but really it's been holding at this level, this point here for this would be the fifth day in a row. So it's not going higher, it's not going lower. A break below 380, I might get short-term bearish on it, but it's not gonna knock it out of the uptrend it's been in. But that 380 level, if that breaks, would be pretty bearish. On the other side of the coin, if you get a move that looks like this, where it's pushing back up through the 7 and through that 390 mark, be very bullish for this stock, and could easily hit the 400 range for this stock. That's not it'd be pretty easy to do, but that's what I'd need. If it broke below 380, short-term weakness, if a break like this, the stock could run back up there towards a $400 level without much of a problem. So it's just kind of in no man's land right now, kind of on the fence of which way this thing's going to go. Celgene. Okay, so if I was in a trade here and I saw that candlestick at the close, I might get out. It gapped up. It's up about 2.5%. If I'm in this trade, I got a nice gain. Probably if you got in, there was a nice little. If I bring in the vibe here, there was a little entrance right here, a little bull vibe entrance on that day right there. Everything's rising. Look at the averages. The MACD's rising. All three of the averages are rising, and look, you had some strong volume there. It's a nice looking entrance. But run higher like that, and it's right, that candle right at a 170. It's a multiple of 10, one of the bigger numbers. And this is one of those things where if you take it, you got a gain. Be happy with it. If it keeps going, hey, you still got a gain. Don't worry about it. But if this moves up into the close, we're looking at this 3 hours before the close. If this moves higher into the close and doesn't form that little, it's got, it'd be kind of a spinning doji, I guess. Yeah, I wouldn't argue taking a gain if it closed like this. But if it goes higher, it's still in the uptrend. It's still showing some strength up in this range, but I'd probably get out and look for another entrance if it closed like that. But if it closed, so this thing this ran up and closed, $6 to $8 higher or whatever, we're towards the upper highs right here, then stay in it. If you're looking at the Bollinger Bands, it's just hitting the upper band. They're expanding, but it's just that candle pattern right there. It just could be some short-term weakness, and especially since it's forming right around which could be a decent level of resistance. Again, not saying the trend's over by any means, but you might have some consolidation back here towards the 7. Man, it's a good looking chart. Yeah, Mike, I'd agree with you with that CHL. Oracle. With Oracle, this was one of my ones from Friday, top 3 from Friday. It's entering the upper Bollinger Band now today. So when it's entering the upper Bollinger Band, the bands are expanding. You can see this barely starting to turn up here. Then price target I'd give to this, I'd put it towards probably the 36.50 range, maybe the 37. But this is one of those trades where you could stay in it in that upper Bollinger Band and just ride until it closes back inside and see how far it takes you. This thing doesn't like to stay in the upper Bollinger Band too often. You look here when it hit the upper band. But I'm also looking to see how tight the bands are. The bands are tighter here than they have been for quite a while, with the exception over here, but that was likely maybe earnings or some kind of news event over here where that just blew everything. But Doesn't like to stay in too often, so this might leave you in the trade for another, who knows, a day or two, maybe three. But I'd watch that band. If it closes inside, then get out and take the gain. But right here, I just keep it going. But I'd watch again. I'd watch this probably up for about another dollar, 36.5 mark to 37 on that. A tighter stop on that would be that upper band like that. And yeah, good job. On Yahoo, guess that helps if I put my cursor in the right window, huh? A little bit of bullish consolidation, and I say bullish consolidation. If I bring in the trend writer here, bullish consolidation. Everything is still rising. I mean, indicators, everything still going up. All the averages still headed up. Bullish consolidation would just be little tiny pullbacks towards the 7 and kind of sideways, and that's exactly what we're seeing. So I wouldn't worry about anything here on Yahoo, because these little pullbacks like that is nothing scary. And as that 7 gets closer and closer, the odds are it's going to bounce back up off that 7 and continue that uptrend. With Citi, well, I was looking at Citi earlier, and it was showing a nice little vibe bull. You've got all the averages rising. You got look at the indicators down here; they're rising. But this pullback right here, it just closed back up towards the high of the day. Be a beautiful vibe bull signal. If it closes like this, I'd be a little bit hesitant. And even if it forms, the old, not the very best, but towards like a dragonfly, then that definitely probably get out. But right now, that's what I look for before I'd enter anything bullish. Was this a stronger push up here towards the highs of the day and have it close in that range? That'd give you a nice signal. Now, Wells Fargo had a nice signal just last Friday. It was on one of my runner-ups, Bull Vibe. Just I didn't put it there because I looked over here and it was just really close to that area right there. But it does have a strong push up into the close towards the highs of the day. The odds of this breaking 44.5 are pretty good. So that's what I'd look for here. Another stock I know that it's on my top 3 from Thursday, actually 2 on that day. It still looks good. If I bring in the Bollinger Bands, is pushing up towards the upper band. This would be one. If I was in here, I'd look at towards the 60, probably the 69.50 mark. If it shows a little bit of weakness up there, I'd go to get out. If it goes up towards 70, then I'd get out around 70, but a little bit of weakness around 69.5. I'd probably take a profit and run. It's got a decent gain. If you jumped into this trade, it got a decent gain on it. Again, I wouldn't argue getting out any time if you're happy with the gain. So silver. So this had this nice little. Let me zoom in here. Right, this had the candle over here where it pretty strong day where it shot above the 7. The next day it gaps back down. Now it's approaching that $19 level once again. If it closed right here, you can see what happened the last time it closed with the gravestone doji on a little bit of a gap. Is you got an abandoned candle pattern, which is pretty bearish, and the next day, bam, down it went. Is it starting to form a little bit of a bottom? You look at these days right through here. Get rid of that. And notice how the volumes picked up on right around the 18.5 mark. Volume picked up a little bit. But as far as an entry right here, I don't see an entry right here. What you'd want to see here is maybe if this comes back down towards the 7 a little bit, you might have something going. If it comes back down towards the 7, and then I got to push the right button here, a move like that would have just locked in a higher level of, a higher low off the bottom there. and then the push back up off of that low could take this thing up towards the $20 level. That's what I look for. I'd be a little bit patient here because it's been really weak. This whole area has been weak, but this one in particular, the iShares, that's what I'd want to see. A little bit of consolidation and a move back up here off this above the 19 level, locking in a little bit of higher level, a higher low at that point. That's what I'd like to see. I'd be a little bit cautious right here, right now, as far as going calls. I'm okay. I'm okay, Darren. Everything appears to be fine here. Yeah, CSX, nice. This is very bullish action. Closes up in this range above the upper Bollinger Band. Probably going to keep going. Just stay in as long as it stays in that band. United Rentals, good looking chart. Good looking chart. It's been resistance for this has been the big old round number of 70. It's breaking above that today. Volumes are okay, but it's got a nice uptrend intact, so you don't always need those volumes. But no, I mean, a close right here would be very positive. It's in the upper band and likely to keep going on it. If I scroll down, yeah, the Bollinger Bands are contracting right here. So what I do is watch and see if it retests 70. If this can retest 70, maybe go sideways a little bit, consolidate down towards the 70 and pushes back up off the 7, and probably give those bands a chance to reverse and go the other direction. Again, it doesn't mean, you can see it's hitting that band today as resistance so far. Got right to it, has sold off on it. But overall, that 70, this little bit of price action here suggests that it might retest this 70 area. So if it pulls back towards 70 and you get another push higher off of that, off the level, pushing up off the 7, and the bands are starting to expand, then this thing's off and running. Probably up to the mid 70s. Apple. So if I bring in the vibe here on Apple, this is a bull vibe entrance. You got indicators rising. You got this pushing up here. If it closes towards here at 570 mark, Apple's probably off and running. Next stop, a lot higher, most likely. They don't have any news backing these guys, any type of bad news out there. If anything, it's just expected news to come out of China, and with them the pre-launch of their phones over that way. Wow. Oh, yeah, Darren. No airplane crashed in over here. So Yahoo, again, this one has jumped up. Just nice bullish consolidation so far. The 7's catching up with it. Uh, Odds are this thing comes back towards the 7 and pushes up through that $39 mark. It's just not going to do it today. Didn't do it Friday, but so far this is just some bullish consolidation, just small moves back towards. I mean, still have indicators rising, all the averages rising. You had some strong volume here on the breakouts. Odds are this looks to go higher towards that $40 level. Ah, yeah, United Rentals at 15, huh? Yeah. I used to, a friend of mine who's a long-term trader. He's been trading for like 30 years. And there was this stock, I must have heard the story about a dozen times about this one stock, and he bought it at like 40 cents, and then he went through a divorce, and he sold it because he was, depressed or whatever, and sold it. And then he looked at it about a year later and was sitting at 40 bucks. I couldn't tell you the stock, but I heard that story about 40 times. Yep. If you had a time machine, boy, I tell you, be nice. Day trading tips. Man, a lot's changed since I day traded. I haven't day traded since the year 2000, and that's what got me into the market was day trading. As far as just a little simple trick here. Now this is on Baidu, but what you always look for is what they call the reaction high and the reaction low. So if I zoom in on this, and this is Baidu, and this isn't the greatest example, but it's not too bad. So let me get rid of that. You usually give it about an hour for the reaction high to be set in. So this would be, right, this would be the high, and then down here would be the reaction low. And then once those are formed, once those levels are set, and they don't happen every day, but if they do, kind of one here on Baidu, once those levels break, there's a good chance they can come back and retest, right? It broke right here, but it came back to retest and it failed. But once it pushed up higher, usually a lot of times that next push higher, or sometimes it breaks like that and comes back down and holds the reaction high support. That's an area to go long. Okay, and you can see what it did. It took off. Now day traders, the same thing. Where do you get out? You got to look at different price points and stuff like that. Or if it comes back down and breaks the reaction low, a lot of times they can break the low, come back up and retest it, and if it starts to push down lower off of it, time to go short. Just for day trades, little technique that a lot of day traders will use, those reaction highs and lows. So this is on Baidu. It's shot higher. It's rolled over a little bit, kind of just going sideways, just below that 170 mark, right? And for this to hold 170, that would be a positive. It was at 160, where we were down below 169, about 168 range. On Friday, shot above 170, coming back to test that level. This runs back up into the close. It'd be a beautiful looking entry. And that's on Baidu. I've been watching that one all morning. There you go, Trader Kevin. That's what I look for in day trading. I don't do much of that anymore. But that works. I use that a lot of times for exits. I'll use that same type of a strategy. If it breaks the reaction high and starts to run higher, hey, you can stay in the trade a little bit longer. It can put you in for better timing on trades. If you happen to catch that, you can put you in a trade that you might not plan on day trading, but be in it for several days or whatever. It can put you in at some pretty good spots. Okay, and as far as exits too, that's what took me out of the Deere trade. Watching Deere was pretty much a dead trade. It was down most of the morning. All of a sudden, it went down to the reaction low, retested it, and started back bouncing down off of the reaction low. I knew it was time to get out, and that's where we got out. And then the stock just dropped a lot lower from there, that day anyways, before that news came out, right? So that's what you can still use that technique to enter trades, even if it's not a day trade. Enter and exit, it still works really well. And you do that right on the minute charts, is where you do that on a chart like this. Now you can also, Jeff did some trainings on day trading the day after Thanksgiving. That would be November 30th. You could go back through the library and look at Jeff's trainings that he did on November 30th. Wait, that would have been the 29th. Sorry, the 29th. Okay, I believe it was the 29th, day after Thanksgiving. I'm pretty sure that's 29th. Jeff did some trainings on that. I was off that day, but Jeff did some trainings on day trading. That might help you out too. All right, everybody, I'll be on chatting with you all day long. We're going to be looking to enter a challenge trade here within the next hour or so. Wait a minute, hour or so? Within the next couple hours. The next couple hours, we're probably going to be entering a challenge trade. We're going to be looking for just the right setup to get in on, but we got some pretty good prospects in mind. You'll find out what those are, I guess, when we go to look for those, okay, when we come back up. But thanks for tuning in. I will be on with you in chat. You can reach me through email as well, okay, Carl at traderminute.com. That's Carl with C. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.